So we just finished creating our scene with our button, and you'll see we can go inside of it. If we go back to the main scene, you'll notice that it's actually invisible on our on the frame where it stopped here. And the reason why is because it's actually invisible on the first frame of that particular symbol. So that's just something to be aware of, is that when you have movie clips, it shows you what the first frame of that movie clip looks like, which can sometimes be a little bit confusing, when it'd be nice to actually see it at the end. Anyway, we are going to add code in this particular video so that we can get this particular button to work. So it's very important that we are all in the exact same spot. And so I'm going to go inside the animation that has this start button and graphics in it, and then double click on it again until I get to the level where I can click on the button. Now do make sure that you don't double click again and go inside of the button, because it won't work if you're inside the button. We need to be back on the layer where we can click on the button and see the properties for a button over on our top right. Now, in order for code to access objects such as this button, we need to give those objects names, and that's what the instance name is over here on the top right. Now, that instance name is how we refer to this button in code, and it has to be absolutely perfect. And it has to be perfect with uppercase and lowercase sensitivity, and you can't have any numbers or symbols that are involved at the beginning of that particular instance name. So I'm going to click on that instance name, and this is going to be start_btn. Now, we have used the _btn as what's called a suffix in order to indicate that what we've got here is a button object. And you'll see how that works when we get into our code in just a minute. Now that I've given that object a property name or an instance name, I'm going to go to the frame and click on it so that I can go to my actions frame and show that. Now, a couple things real quick about this actions panel. There are a couple different ways to make it collapsed. One way is to click on the double arrow, and that expands it. You can double click on the panel, and that will collapse it, which is the way I typically do it. Or you can click on the collapsed icons, and that hides it as well. So either way that you like to do it, it's the exact same thing. Now we need to add our code. So ActionScript 3 requires us to do a lot more coding than it used to be for old ActionScript, but this code is very streamlined in what it does, and we'll be repeating this type of code all the time. So it begins by this. We need to create a function. So you type in function in lowercase and it turns blue. That indicates a keyword. And we are going to call this function startMovie. And I'm going to use startMovie, and it's going to be in have the camel case here in the middle, and that's very important because we need to refer to it with that particular exact thing later. Now, this particular function is going to receive an event, and we should specify the type of event. So we're going to say that a mouse event is going to be causing this. We want it to turn blue. Then we're going to end our parenthesis and do a curly bracket. Then typically we do a double enter so that we finish the curly bracket before we put the stuff in between. Now we're going to be having the main timeline play. So we need to do movie clip and then parenthesis, root, which is the root timeline, dot play. So that is the action that we want to be able to play the movie clip, which is our root timeline. The next thing that we need is an event listener for our button. So it's start_btn dot add event listener, and you'll see that this is code hinting, and that was enabled because of that suffix. Add event listener, mouse event dot click, and let's run the function called startMovie. End the parenthesis and a semicolon and hit enter, and now we can test our movie. And it's good to go ahead and check your syntax. If it contains no errors, test your movie and see if it works. Save your work.